Tom, do you want to do the prayer or?
Sure. Please bow your heads. Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you that we've all come here in good health and in good spirits. Lord, help us to see in one another the grace, the goodness, and the love that you instilled in each one of us, and help us to see it in each other. Lord, we ask that you bless us, give us wisdom to make decisions today. And in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag,
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas,
one state, under God,
one and indivisible.
Okay, we have comments from the audience. I'll go from the top of the sheet. Joe? Would you like to?
Want me to speak for the homeowners?
Okay, she's going to speak. Okay, Courtney.
To it. Okay. I'm Courtney Willie. Oh,
That's open public comment, and then that has its own agenda item.
Oh, okay, okay.
However,
No, let's skip back. Well, everybody's associated with that agenda item.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and begin. Courtney?
I'm Courtney Williams. I am a resident of Pirouette Place for almost 20 years now, and I'm here today to follow up on where we left off at last month's board meeting. Quick refresher, the residents of Pirouette Place constructed a fence last March at the end of our cul-de-sac in the easement. In December, we received a letter from the Med District stating that there was concern over the potential for flooding due to the fence. In response to the letter, we reached out to the district and we had Mr. Peterson. He did an on-site visit on January the 16th. And based on his visit, he concluded that the fence as it stands did not impede the flow of water or create any drainage issues for the residents. The only issue that he found was that when we put the fence up, we installed a gate with it. And so the gate did not meet the standards. It needed to be a fixed fence. The other issue that came up last month was, did we have the proper authorization or approval from the Hughes Corporation to have the fence constructed on the easement? After the meeting, I reached out to Hughes via letter, email. I received a phone call from Mrs. Jordan Watson on March the 6th, and she verbally confirmed that the fence was okay to remain as it is, as long as the gate comes down and it becomes a fixed fence in line with what Mr. Peterson also had stated. I had her follow up with me via email so that I had something in writing for you all to look at, and that is on the third page. Her letter says, or her email says, in follow up to our discussion, I wanted to pass along that it is our position that the gate must be converted into a fixed fence panel that maintains continuity with the existing fence, but there is no objection to the fence remaining in place once the gate is converted. As of this morning, the gate has been converted to a fixed fence. So now that we've got the proper authorization and approval from Hughes, and we have no drainage issues, we're here today seeking closure in this matter of the fence.
Unfortunately, we are not able to comment on public comments. And so we have to just let you speak, and that's it.
Thank you.
Did,
So,
I have an extra copy. Did anybody?
I did not get one. Thank you.
There we go.
so Alan, I guess you're the next out of this, since everybody else is letting Courtney speak.
Thank you so much.
Alan?
Shelley sent out an email in a letter this afternoon. Did everyone have that?
Yeah.
I've got your copy if you need. Okay. I'm Alan Hedingren. I live at 2 Pirouette Place. And I'll read the letter that I sent out, but before I do, just want to express gratitude to my neighbors. Joe and Courtney and Diane have been very loving and kind to me and my family. And I just want to publicly express that gratitude. And Tom, I appreciate your prayer, commenting on the grace, goodness, and love of God. So hopefully we can feel that today. Dear Mud 46 board members, as a follow-up from the last Mud 46 meeting regarding the fence with the lock gate in Pirouette Place, my next door neighbor, Ram Shenoy, asked me about a compromise to leave the fence, but also allow access to the public by removing the lock. Ram and I emailed Mr. Peterson asking if the lock can be removed while leaving the fence and gate. Mr. Peterson has been very helpful and responded that the only two options are to leave the entire fence and gate with a permanent lock or to remove the gate. If these are the only two options, I would be willing to reroute my fence so that the fence and gate can stay. Rerouting my fence would restore unrestricted access to the children and other residents through a 4-foot wide path through the corner of my backyard. The picture below shows the plans. I spoke with Jill Barnes from the Woodlands Township Development Standards Committee, and she said that removing a section of my fence is compliant with the Woodlands Township standards. In conclusion, my desire is to restore access to the trails, and I'm willing to open my property to the public so that the fence and gate can stay. Thank you for your consideration.
I have a point of information, please.
You can make a 3-minute comment.
Yes, okay. As per the original letter that we received in December, the issue was the drainage and the blockage of water, which could cause a flooding issue. That was the main issue. There was nothing else on the table. The board here did, as per the last meeting, recommend that one of the criteria for the fence to stay is to remove the gate. Okay? Number two, Howard Hughes stated that also for the fence to stay, the gate had to come out. So we have complied. We've crossed all the T's, dotted the I's. We've met your criteria 101% in doing that. So the issue here is the gate is gone, okay? There's no hindrance to the flooding. That was for the original letter. So since Howard Hughes is on board, okay, the next big thing would be for you to generate a letter stating that the fence could stay, and this way it'll go to the homeowners. But just to say that the whole purpose of the first meeting was because of the drainage, okay? Then you had mentioned the gate. So like I said, we've complied 101%. We've met the initial issues. Anything other than that was ancillary to the original letter. That wasn't in the original letter. Thank you.
Comments
Yes.
from the board?
Are we discussing this issue or?
I
We're
think
gonna make fast, we're gonna make fast.
discuss it and be done with it.
Two things. Mr. Castellano, with all due respect, it was a selective recall that you had from the last meeting. One of the things that I said at the last meeting, and you can go to the playback that we have on Google Drive and see that. I didn't believe it was Mud 46's position to make a determination on this. In fact, I specifically suggested you all get together and work it out separately. Here's why, okay? The question I asked the attorney at the last meeting was as follows. Is it legal to impede any way, shape, or form an easement right away that the Woodlands Water Agency has? And the answer was, at the time, no. That's what Brian Yates said. He's not here. Gordon is, and I'm going to ask him the same question. Is any resident or group of residents allowed to impede a right-of-way or an easement from the Woodlands Water Agency?
So I can level set here, whose name, who owns, what entity has this easement?
There are four entities. There's two neighbors on one side, on each side. There's the Howard Hughes Corporation in front of the gate. Then there's the drainage ditch that goes down. And if you look in the pictures, you'll be able to see that because it's detailed.
This fence is being built across
It's already built.
it's already built.
It's already built, and from the last meeting, we are the last cul-de-sac in the neighborhood that built the fence.
whose easement is this
There
cross?
is no
Oh,
easement.
There is no easement, this is
Well,
private way.
Mercy overflow swell, and there would need to be an encroachment agreement, in order to encroach the area.
Got it. Then, yes, Mr. Yates is correct.
Okay, so first, it's not allowed. What the other residents did with the other cul-de-sacs, they did without this body's approval, and that's all well and good. We're not there. Our charter is not to regulate what happens between neighbors. In fact, I believe that you folks need to sit down and determine what and how you want to do. Mr. Castellano, I agree with security. I am a heads-up, security-oriented guy. I know where you're coming from. I agree with it, okay? Mr. Hedrigan, I worked with him before when I was on the Sterling Ridge Board. Conscientious, cares about his neighbors, open mindset in dealing with people, very transparent. I think both of you have good points, but again, from my perspective, it's not a MUD 46 decision. Take it to the next step, and I turn to the attorney again. If we exceed our authority and something happens like what happened the last major flood, which was down Kirkendall, what's the name of that old area, that tract of land, those homes that are there. What's it called? Across from where Carlton Woods is, south. Creekside, thank you. That, I took a tour of that. At least 40 homes were devastated. And one of the things that I noticed, and this is way before I got involved with MUDs, is that during torrential rainstorms, all kinds of debris, tree limbs, leaves, grass, toys, everything gets clogged up within neighborhoods, streets, rights of way, drainage ditches and the like. If somebody, because the fence was there, it was built up and somebody drowned, or there was a problem of any type, we would be held liable as a board. Now, we do have D&O insurance, correct? Isn't that right?
Yes, we do.
But it's limited. And from a personal perspective, I don't wish to encumber myself with a contingent liability where somewhere down the road that it's written that Fred Letterman approved the building of something that is, by the definition of the Woodlands Township, illegal to impede water flow. And that's what we've got. Your neighbors did it their way. They went around the system. God bless them. I'm not suggesting you go around the system. I'm suggesting that I don't want to create a precedent where MUD 46 is engaging in activities that are not within its scope or its responsibility. I understand where you're all coming from. It's a difficult situation. I have a list of 3 counseling organizations in Montgomery County that may be able to work out between all of you a reasonable situation, but my recommendation to the board is we don't rule on it. Let them do what they wish to do, and suggest that if I have my druthers, I would support what Eric said. The best way of doing it is not build a fence at all. And I understand what the ramifications are, but that's my recommendation to the board. Y'all can make your decisions from there.
Well, I'm a little surprised. We don't have any more comments for the audience. I'm a little surprised that you guys took an action to modify the fence while this issue was pending before the board. I'm sorry, there's no comments. That's what surprised me. The second, I used to live in that neighborhood, and I used to use that portal to run down to Spindletop. So I used to be one of the neighbors that used to go through that portal. And you go through, and I walked it. I went, after this issue came up, and I went left and I went right. You go left, it takes you to another pond. It's obviously a lot of people are walking around that pond, probably with their dogs or running. You go right, it takes you down to Spindletop. So a lot of people use that, an exit to find, I call it the park, but it's not really a park. It's one of our drainage facilities. And so the people, the strangers you probably saw walking was probably me. Because I lived off Angelica Way. Well, but let's think about, again, my comments. I went and walked, through that area, and there were no residents in Black Oak. It's all under construction. So, you're basically saying you have strange people coming through, but
that there's no residents in that development yet. There will be. No, I walked it.
It's fully built out.
You know what, let me just say, I walked the area and there are houses under construction. I don't see anybody moving in yet. You know what I mean? I see no for sale signs. I see an area that's intensive construction. So by saying people are coming through the neighborhood, it's probably your neighbors in French Oaks. Now, if you go down to the area of is it Archwick? They have 3 portals, 3 of these areas. None of them are blocked. You mean? So the only issue we have is in French Oaks with the 2 streets. One, I guess, had been there for a while. We didn't know about, but now we know about this one. And I'm concerned that, you know, just like Fred said, about flooding. You know, you built that fence such a way when it overwhelms that drain. You know, if debris comes down that street and overwhelms that drain, it's gonna block water flow. And that water flow, well, I'm just saying, if you get a heavy storm and you've topped that fence on top of that drain, you know what I mean? And if debris comes down to that drain spot, you know, it could flood the houses around on each side. I mean, yeah, I'm just making my comment.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Tom.
Eric, who owns that land behind this fence? Is it Howard Hughes?
Howard Hughes.
And they
Okay.
have signed
And
off
at what
and given us
point-
permission.
At what point does Mud 46?
Right where the gate is. I have there's actually in a
How does
packet, I
Mud
think.
46 own the property?
Doesn't own it.
Doesn't own the property. The property would likely be conveyed to the MUD and because you're maintaining it and the areas
Okay.
behind.
So what they're doing is they're wanting access to a park, which is granted by Mud 46 to the township through an agreement, which I have here. And access to that park is only through the easement that was granted to the township by the MUD. And access to that park from these other locations is not specifically disallowed, but the park only exists within the easements specified in the agreement. So anytime you're on the property that's not on the easement, you're trespassing on other people's property. So that's about all I'm going to say, but I agree with you, Eric. I think that the fence should stay in place without locks or permanently without gates. That makes sense? I think we should restrict access. Or we've got many access points to the park, but access to the park should only be through the one currently established entrance to the park.
Ready? Excuse me, Susanna.
She's not here anymore. One of my questions is, and we were looking up the Zillow map to see what was constructed. There's nothing constructed immediately right behind French Oaks, but there's other people further east. My big question is, if we know about these other fences that are constructed on the easement and we didn't give our approval for them, but they come to our attention, are we now liable for that? Because if we ask them to deconstruct their fence, are we responsible for any other fences that have come to our attention?
Okay, I have an answer to that. With the agreement that we have, the township has purchased liability insurance between any of their residents coming onto the easement, protecting us. However, there's nothing between us and the Black Oak community, and the fence there is broken, and you could drive a semi onto the property from that location. So
Well,
We
the
need
Black
to
Oak
address-
defense is not constructed yet.
there's a barbed wire fence.
I'm just
and they-
saying.
They tore it down.
They're going to have a solid stockade.
Well, I guess
fence.
what I'm getting at is we need to develop a policy on access to that property, because right now there's a bunch of people trespassing on that property with four-wheelers, motorcycles, bicycles. They're getting into the ditch And we don't have protection against, liability protection against that,
The ditch meaning the drainage pond.
the drainage pond, yes. So, yeah, and I don't want to have future arguments like this going on, so I think we ought to leave the fence in place, and I don't think we should allow access from any of these neighborhoods except through what we are protected from, which is the one entrance on Terramont.
Anything else, Suzanne?
Fairmont,
It's
French Crossing.
Branch Crossing, it turns
Branch Crossing.
into Terramont.
Okay, so
You want to make a motion?
I'll, go ahead.
Eric, is there
Eric,
anything
you
else?
have
that you think-
your comment?
Eric?
So I guess I'll just remind the board that prior to, my understanding is that years ago, the MUDs would allow, if all the characteristics were met, variances and then enter into an encroachment agreement. As of after Tax Day, Memorial Day, and Harvey, across all of the MUDs, the MUDs collectively chose to not do that anymore. So the current policy right now is to not allow it. So a change would be to go back to the approved method, which they have met at this point, at least as far as the detail goes, because we did have an old detail that used to be used, and it's more along the lines of what apparently now exists without the gate. And the shrubbery's gone and whatnot, and then the bottom is not blocked. So that's what was previously approved as of prior to 2017
But superseded
by
by the current actions, correct?
that is correct.
Yeah.
So that's really what the question is do you want to go back to pre-2017 and allow these or create a variance for this one or not allow it at all? I guess that's probably the three options. To me, I don't see, I think the way that it's been presented today with the gate removed and how it's been built does meet the previous detail that we did require. So I can say that.
So there's really two issues here. Drainage,
What's that?
there's two issues here. Drainage
Drainage.
and pedestrian access.
That's right. And
And
like I
I
said,
think that by taking down the gate and making it a permanent fence, I think they've satisfied that requirement. And as far as the landscaping goes, I think that passes as well.
Whose houses are on either side of the easement?
Alan is one of them. Who's the other? Elliot.
But when we constructed the fence, everyone participated, everyone paid their share.
They're getting
So-
with this one here. This
And I will go back to legally that if you choose to leave it and go back to pre-2017 and allow it or a variance to that and allow it, then there still would need to be an encroachment agreement.
Why don't you describe that? That's a topic that
The encroachment-
would be the result of the encroachment agreement. What would,
It would be a document that the homeowners would need to sign, that they would take responsibility of it. If we ever had to go in and address the drainage, address the piping or any of the public infrastructure within that easement, and let's say we had to take the fence down, it would not be the MUD's responsibility to put it back. That it would be the responsibility of the homeowners or those that are requesting the encroachment.
and that,
They can indemnify you as well. for any-
indemnify us as
for any
well.
damage.
And that would carry, that would,
Indemnification,
right. And that would be carried on their property.
Correct.
correct.
So it wouldn't be
They
an
would be
individual
liable.
name. It will follow your property as it's sold again and again and again in a permanent way.
Now, yeah, but just understand that if we have an encroachment agreement and it becomes part of your deed, that will have to be complied with, and all future owners will have to comply with it, including the assumption of potential liability in the event there's an adverse situation that occurs because of that fence. Because we didn't decide to build the fence, y'all decided to build the fence. And whether or not you had agreement on a gate or no gate, irrelevant. This board should not be ruling on that. If the board wishes to have an encroachment agreement, fine, but it needs to spell out that we are not liable, MUD 46 and the individual directors, for any potential damage or claims, and that we are indemnified by the residents of Pirouette. And that's where I stand.
And Eric, that'd be one name or multiple names?
That's a good question. I don't know who the responsible party would need to be that's gonna sign off.
That is a good question.
Well, the two properties that are contiguous to the drainage ditch, that would be it. That's,
Yeah, but is it one agreement with each? Is it one agreement with both?
I go simple, one agreement with each.
One agreement with each that would each independently give them the right to build a fence
You bet.
across?
And the responsible.
We can structure it appropriately, without knowing the properties. I can't really comment on exactly the form, but if it was one or two, it would have the same protection.
I would probably prefer it's one document,
One
signed off on by whomever the responsible parties are.
Well,
Just say one thing.
all I can say is multi-party agreements are difficult to enforce and create dissonance in the future in the event there is a claim. And again, it's outside of our responsibility, but if this board wishes to go forward with it, go forward with it.
I have one question, just for Alan, quick answer. Would you be willing to sign such a document? Yes or no? Okay,
And what is
I
the
asked you because you're one of the people adjacent to the property.
flooding history? Were there claims made in the tax memorial or Harvey floods?
I forgot what our elevation is, but it is,
Way above.
we've never had any rising, I've lived there 20 years, we've never had rising water, never had any type of flood in any.
Because the decision by the whole street to build the fence, somebody who lives, further away isn't as impacted as the people that live right next door. So that's.
Brian, you want to write this agreement? I mean, have the attorney write this agreement, and then when it's done and it's signed, you bring it back and we vote to accept the agreement. Is that?
I'd like to suggest that we sever this and let it go through whatever process we wish to do. I don't think we need to spend any more time on this.
I agree.
I agree.
You know, so let's do it this way. Make our decision, whatever it might be. If an agreement is called for, that's handled off site and it's, or through Eric's operation, he's capable, he knows about it, he understands the water rights and the like. You've got Schwartz, Page and Harding for legal advice. I'd say, let's make our decision, and whatever it is, let it go through the process. Either we don't do it or we do. Board's decision.
Entertain a motion?
I take a motion, or I'm going to make a motion that we accept the fence as is and cease discussion on the matter.
A second? Okay, no second. So I'll make a motion. We'll go kind of vote-a-rama. I'll make a motion that we remove the fence. Second,
I'll second that.
second,
That's compliance with the law.
second. Okay, so we'll do a vote. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise their hand. Aye. All those opposed? 2, okay. So 2-2. So that motion didn't work either. So what's the other motion, Susanna?
Suzanne, it's all yours.
I would like to make a motion to postpone this with letting our legal counsel look into the matter more and determining the issues that you brought up, the ramifications of, what is our full risk liability according to the law, because Brian is normally here and Gordon, nothing personal.
I mean, I can speak to that real quick, that I do believe that an encroachment agreement will cover his concerns. If that's the route you want to take. So I think we can, the attorney would write it, but they can write it to protect you for all the concerns that Fred had.
Except we're still violating the law. If we sign it, we're knowingly violating the law. Because it is an encumbrance right now. So from my perspective, I'm against the entire process. I think this is not something for this board to deal with, ever. Because there will be neighborhood arguments that will go on in perpetuity here. We might as well have weekly meetings.
Well, I'm gonna make another motion. I make a motion that MUD 46 establish a policy. Either permanent fences are built or no fence at all. But I think it should be permanent fences should be built by the developers when they develop the property.
Well, it's a post-development at this point, for the other
Yes.
entrances. Sticky wicket.
Okay, so,
Sheriff, do you have all these?
what is your motion?
Okay, my motion.
Does it address this issue?
My motion is that MUD 46 establish a policy regarding fences between residents and MUD 46 property. So that we
But-
don't have this,
I understand, but that's not this issue.
this
That's
issue
not-
is two things. We have
Well,
access by
So, okay, we can vote on, we need to establish a policy.
establish a
Okay,
policy to deal with this
Okay,
situation.
okay, so is there a second?
For two.
Okay, so I'll make another motion. I motion that we table this until we satisfy Susanna and Fred's concern with the contract, and then we bring it back.
That's not the only concern I've got, David.
Okay, state your concern.
My concern is twofold. Number one, the one you're suggesting, and the other one is that we're violating the township covenants, and we're exceeding our authority, our responsibility.
So you go back to that we should take the wall down and abide by the current law.
What my position is, let the neighbors handle it by themselves. That's what I said at the last meeting. Let them get together and come to an agreement and do whatever they wish to do. I don't believe that this body should be ruling on individual residents' difficulties to get along with each other.
So are you saying that we should just ignore the event?
Absolutely.
Okay?
It
Ignore
should
the
not
event.
even be here, as far as I'm concerned.
There's an encumbrance on the property.
Is it a encumbrance?
There is. Now, that's your job.
No.
There's an encumbrance on the property.
But he can't
It's
act
a
because
division by this board. It's not.
he can't act on it because we don't have a policy.
No, you do have a.
We
do.
That
We do have a
policy
policy.
was changed after all the flooding events, 2017, that you would not allow these anymore. Because for fear of flooding various things. That's
So we have to ask all the other neighborhoods that have these fences to tear all their
I
fences
believe
down.
there's only one other, I walked around a good bit. I'm aware of one other.
There's a bunch.
When Mr. Peterson came out, we knew that that was the current policy, and our purpose was to request the variance. He mentioned the variance.
Yeah, I think.
We get the variance
Correct.
to have the fence as it was prior approved, or previously approved.
So, okay, so,
The official request would be to get a variance to the policy to allow it to stay if it meets the detail and to have an encroachment agreement to encumber it. I think that is the official request, as I hear it.
Fred?
These are adults. I'm sorry. It's their life, their neighborhood, their street, their property. They need to take care of it themselves.
Well, the fence as it stands, it's a fixed fence. There's no gate anymore, correct?
They took it upon themselves. They did it even before we got to the stage of hearing their issues.
Well, last month they still had the gate. The issue was the.
It's still an encumbrance either way you look at it.
Right, no, I get
Yeah.
that, but as the gate, as the fence stands, it is a fixed fence. There is no
So-
access unless people crawl
We-
under the.
We did that when Houston.
So look, we've spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah, we
I
have.
make, I make a motion that we table this and we will come back and put it on the calendar
No,
again.
this is gonna be a continuing saga unless we deal with it now.
Well,
So far, we can't get votes to deal with it now.
I'm gonna abstain, okay? Am I allowed to abstain, by the way? And that way there will be a majority, somebody can make a
You
decision.
still need three.
You still need three?
Yeah,
I mean,
they
or three
need three to
people.
make a decision.
Yeah, we'll take.
Well, there you go. You all make a decision.
You need 3 out of 4.
I would like our attorney to review your concerns, my concerns. And so it is clear where everything is, because right now, sorry,
Yeah, so let's just table it and
So we'll be seeing these
discuss.
lovely people for the next 2 or 3 months then.
Right.
Okay, wonderful. That's great.
Okay, so I'll make a motion. No, I'll make a motion to table. And have a second?
what's your motion?
A motion that we table the event for another, for the next meeting.
I
So that they can get more information, get the contract.
would like the motion that we have a legal review of all the director's concerns. Fred, Tom's, yours, mine. And to make sure that it is clear with indemnification, risk, liability, Howard Hughes risk, township risk, Woodlands water risk, San Jacinto River Authority risk. Because if the, there's risk liability.
I accept that motion. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye, we have 3 votes. Good, thank you.
There you
We're
go.
gonna deal with it another month.
Thank you.
And
Well, we're gonna have clarity.
you have homework for Brian.
The action items at this point.
No.
If this goes sideways.
Maybe get together and resolve it amongst yourselves. You know, I mean, you are neighbors for crying out loud. I mean,
Well, I mean, at this
Okay.
point though, because we got the letter, we thought we have to.
I got it. You're looking for approval and I'm suggesting that it's not within our.
Okay, so we're moving on.
Yeah, let's go do
Okay,
that.
so review and act on the minutes from the February 2025 board meeting. So we're in the consent adjustment. Anybody has anything they want to pull out of the consent agenda for discussion?
I make a motion that we approve the consent
Um,
agenda.
Hang on for 1 second. here. Let me just make sure I got all of that notes. Oh, for the February 19th meeting, right?
Yes.
The consent.
Okay, fine. Are we gonna be able to address the following meeting, the one on the 26th, the workshop? And approve that, because there are some things that.
Do we have a
Okay,
minutes?
do pages
Yep.
6 and 7.
Okay, so the February regular board meeting, 2025.
Yeah, we'll approve that.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve it.
okay, a second? Aye. A call for a vote. All in favor of the minutes, say aye. Aye, passes. Okay, second is the agenda. I mean, the minutes from the special board meeting, also held in February. Anybody want to,
February 26th. I'd like to suggest that we all look at item number 6. The motion that our president made.
item 6?
You're
Hey,
reading
six
off
and
the
seven.
minutes.
Yes,
We're doing the agenda.
yes, but the next, oh, you don't want to go through the.
No, I just say you want to pull that out, right? You want to pull that out for discussion.
Yes,
Okay, so let's go on. How about item 7, item 8 and 9? No, get a motion to accept the consent agenda? I don't know if we did that already.
I
Aye.
make a motion to accept the consent
I second
agenda
it.
with the exception of the one item that
Fred wants to
Director
pull out.
Fred had pulled out.
Okay, all second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so Fred, let's move that to item number ahead of item number 10. So what do you want to discuss on that?
went with several items from that workshop, I believe, according to my notes. Okay. And one of them is that we approved the fact that we can now build developers for SFDUEs. Correct? Second one was, and we talked about the money section in the recess for closed section, item 5. That was a very big issue at that time. And I'm working on number 5 with Ed Shackelford with the SJRA, and getting information on all of the debt that we have incurred since the beginning of the founding of Mud 46 to date, to be able to understand what the interest is, what the principal is, what we've been billed, what we've been paid, okay, or what we've paid. That's working. I did get, and in the last meeting, that was approved, we just approved it, for the audit. John Knox did a review of all of the items that I discussed that I felt were either not in compliance with GAAP or that needed to be further discussed. And he made some significant changes to the audit. The most important one that affects these two items is he included a list of all of the SJRA open bonds that we are paying for that will be retired in 2033. This is not the public debt that we have incurred for our own district. That's all, I guess, it's all matured in 3030.
Okay, Fred. So what's
So my
missing from these minutes, if you go to action item 15 on the agenda, Brian is asking us, I assume that this is from Brian, is asking us to authorize the preparation of a district policy for reservation of water and wastewater SFDUs. That letter I handed out, he's asking us in a public meeting to authorize that event in item 15.
Right, but it's not listed.
Well, I understand.
Okay.
It wasn't on that agenda, so that's why there's an agenda item on
It's an
this
agenda
agenda
item.
to request the preparation of that policy.
Okay, I thought it was already approved in our meeting.
Well,
Well,
again, it was a closed meeting. We never went back to public session to vote.
Yeah.
And so we had to, we're doing it now.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
just it's on a meeting agenda. Now you will vote to approve it, and now it's a formal function.
Great. In that case, I'm okay with it. Let's approve it. Okay. See how easy that was?
Yeah. Okay, let me-
Flexible. If nothing else, I'm
As long as
flexible.
we have clarity.
okay, so
All
we
right.
got, we're going to item 10 now, acceptance of Director Weinstein's resignation from the Board of Directors. I'd like a motion to accept her resignation.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Item 11, consider an act for appointment of a new director to fill the vacancy on the Board of Directors. So we have 3 people who've applied for the position. That's Beth Benjamin, Joseph, I'm going to pronounce your name probably poorly, Figueroa, and then another one, John Beamer Jennifer. So you have their resumes, and I don't know if anybody's contacted you.
I've been in contact with all 3 of them.
All 3 of them?
Yes, I have.
Obviously, I
Either
have.
by phone or text or both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom, have you had a chance to talk to him?
I have not. I've talked to one director or one candidate.
Which one has you talked to?
Beth,
Beth? Okay. How about yourself?
I was expecting them to be here today.
Okay. Beth called me ahead of time and said she was not feeling well, so she wasn't
Right,
gonna
I got
come.
that now.
Joseph is here. This is Joseph. And John is like Tom. He's a pilot for a competitor of yours, Tom, Southwest Airlines. So I think he's
He's a
in the
good
air
man.
someplace. So he's getting ready to land.
I like any pilot.
Yeah. So maybe we'll take 3 minutes. If let Joseph speak.
For the opportunity to hopefully persuade you that I'm the right candidate. And there's just 3 points that I want to make. I want to put my cards on the table and tell you what my motive is, why my experience will be a contribution to this body. And thirdly, give you a concrete example, hopefully that'll help you see how I can contribute to make wise decisions. I have 4 children and my wife, and we love the Woodlands. And my motive is essentially to make this or continue to steward as best as I can, so that not only my children can continue to enjoy this beautiful place, but also my children's children eventually, and so on and so forth. We really love the place. And so I think there's a civic duty for us to, I feel that civic duty to just contribute that way. On that front, on the civic front, I've addressed and have experience in that area, having addressed Montgomery County Commissioner's Court when it comes to election integrity. I'm a local election integrity advocate, and some of the recommendations that I made to the body were taken on at the state level as well. I'm a MIT graduate with degrees in mathematics and computer science. I worked at Microsoft as a software design engineer for over 21 years, and I have experience managing teams, budgets, and managing with complex issues and being able to communicate it to various audiences as well. And finally, as a concrete example, a quick study. So after I saw that the opportunity was opening up as a result of Director Weinstein's vacancy, that I took a look at the document called Buried No Longer from the American Water Works that the AWWA, this is a quote from the SJRA, says that the body that authored this document is the United States' largest nonprofit scientific and educational association dedicated to the managing and treatment of treating water. There's copies for you if you'd like, but it basically shows that Texas is part of the southern region, and there's a data table that speaks of the low and high end of the lifespans for these AC pipes, being on the high end estimated of a lifespan of 100 years, and on the low end, a estimate of 80 years. So I can leave copies here if you're interested and answer any questions. That was it as far as to have persuaded you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joseph. Okay, so originally I put in here, consider an act, and what motivated me is we have 3 candidates. The second is we have a all mud meeting in April. So if we acted this month, that person could attend that meeting. But my concern now is the 2 of you, Suzanne and Tom. I guess I'm asking you, Fred and I've talked to him. What would you 2 like to do? Would you like to delay for a month? Are you prepared to vote today?
Well,
Go ahead, Fred.
my personal observation is all 3 are good candidates. And it's not a question of one of them is not being qualified. I think they all have various levels of qualification. I think they would all be good board members. I think what we need to do is determine which is good, which is better, which is best, and go for the best one.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the background of all 3, 2 of them have had experience in various business and analytical functions and technical research that I think both John and Joseph would have more qualifications to handle those than Beth would. Of the 2, the pilot or the consultant, I think they're both extremely well qualified. So I would look to you to give us direction as what your expectation as president of the board of a new member. I tried to dissuade Joseph from coming on the board. I told him all of the time it's required to do the job right, especially if he's doing analysis or doing research on analysis of infrastructure construction and longevity. He didn't seem to waver, and he's here. So, I mean, it's kudos to him.
I'll tell you a little bit about, when we had the vacancy, I called friends I know in Montgomery County, mainly the Republican Party, and I got names. Really, I was surprised. I got names very quickly. And I'm similar to Fred. I think that, John and Joseph have a business background. John has he's a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, I think from Penn State. And now was in the Air Force. Now he's a pilot with Southwest. As you heard from Joseph, he has varied background. And, what surprised me about the recommendations I got from really, let's see, 2, 3, 4 people who are well-known in the county was, and the party's kind of broken, has 2 sides. And I was really surprised that both sides, all of the 5 people I talked to, 4 of them supported Joseph. And I think they mainly because of the high quality work he did in the voter integration effort at the party level. And, if you look back about, I've been getting, texts from Joseph about his research, about pipeline life. And so very quickly using AI tools, he's been able to research and provide information that really we were dealing with that information before, and I had some of that, but it was unique that someone with that quickly could use the knowledge and skill set he has to do this research and provide the information.
So
I think
who would be the best choice from your perspective
I think the
to
best
implement this board?
I think the best choice, and mainly because of his analytical skills, his IT skills, his knowledge of Access and Excel, the skill sets that we at times need badly. I think he would be the best choice as Joseph to join the board. And again, I met them all, and I think the good thing is we have spares now. We have people who have expressed interest, and we can put them in a stable that we can call upon if needed in the future. But my recommendation is to vote for Joseph to join the board.
Suzanne, any comments, thoughts?
Joe, what are you doing now?
I raise 4 children. I'm an independent consultant with software.
Okay.
And I homeschool them. I lead Socratic dialogues, and I'm happy to answer questions even more than if you wanted to go deeper.
No, I was just curious.
He's doing 4. You only have 3.
I'm sorry. How old are your children now?
18, Matthew, Gabriel is 16,
Okay,
and Benjamin is 15, and Natalie's 12.
right, he didn't do them from 7, 5, and 3. So I don't want to hear.
Well, if he's homeschooling teenagers, that fits with this board really well. Thoughts?
Dave, would you like to make the motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept Joseph Figueroa.
I'll second.
Lloyd?
Yeah.
Let's have a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, Tom.
Congratulations.
Joseph.
Welcome on board.
I have a list of things.
And-
I'll email it to you.
And like usual, you can take your seat right now.
Pete,
You can come here if you want to.
No,
I won't be so long.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Legal technicalities. There's some documents, things to fill out. He was formally seated at the next meeting.
Oh, next one, okay.
Yes.
that was just a test to see if our legal representative was
Yeah.
paying attention.
I was thinking of the election time. We see people immediately.
Right, when you confirm, yeah.
Yeah, we confirm. Okay. Well, congratulations, Joseph. Okay, so the next item 12 is the consider an act on the official ballot of special district candidate for Montgomery County Appraisal District. I'll tell you a little bit about what's been going on. This has been a really kind of a crazy election. One, they missed it. And so now we're kind of playing catch up. And, last time I spoke, I pushed for a guy named Charlie Shirley. And the reason why was the way the MCAT described the election to us, for those of us paying a lot of attention to it, was that it was like a primary. So we had a ballot and it had, 7 people on it. And the person who got the most votes would advance to the next election, and that we would not vote again. We would not vote again. We had 1 vote, and be honest with you, in that election, just to catch you up, Arthur got 261, and Shirley got 182, And then some people voted for Bruce Reeser, he got 14. So basically, I knew what would most likely happen. And because it was a runoff, I wanted to make sure that, my favorite candidate, different from some others, would be Shirley. So it turns out that that's not how the election is being run. You know what I mean? And it turns out we actually participate in the next vote. So there's a second vote, and all the MUD directors, all the taxing entities get the vote. So what it was accomplished with this election, we dropped one name off the ballot. So there was a Kimberly, I think she's from Emergency Service District, Kimberly Parish. And so she fell off the ballot. Everybody else is still on the ballot. And so this time we have to vote again. And be honest with you, I'm from a strategy standpoint, what's making this race interesting is that, the Conroe ISD board has all shifted. I mean, there are 7 new people on that board over the last 2 years. And so obviously they're voting probably in a different way than in the past. But how they vote, we won't find out till Friday because they don't meet till Friday, I believe.
They rescheduled their meeting.
To Friday.
Friday.
Yep. And, this is kind of like counting the noses on horses right now. And, they have like 1,300 votes. We have 25. You know what I mean? So that's what, and to be honest with you, it'd be a non-talk discussion if it wasn't for them. And so, so that's what's kind of going on. It's interesting. So I'm going to make a motion and then we can see how that motion goes. I'd like to make a motion that we vote as a MUD, meaning we cast all of our votes for one candidate. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Second. And so if then we call for a vote then, a discussion? Any discussion?
So how many more rounds of voting are there gonna be?
Well,
Well, we don't know, or we'll find out next time.
no, this is it.
Okay.
This is it.
Just
Come,
never know.
come Friday, the voting's over, they will tally votes and they will declare winners. There are 5 seats open. Right?
The top winner gets the 3-year term and the 2 winners, the 2 lower counts get the 10-month term. So we will go through this again this coming year.
Right, we'll do it again.
They're trying to get on a rotation.
They're gonna go to a 4-2 calendar, every 2 years we vote for somebody.
I'm opposed to that idea only in that it negates my vote should I be on the minority. I'd like my vote counted. I understand we get 25 votes and my vote counts for 5 of those. And I'd like to keep those votes.
Okay,
Well, actually, with only 4 people, it'll be a fraction, a little bit more than 5 votes.
You're right.
Yeah.
But that's higher math.
Okay.
Pilots don't.
I don't do higher ed either. Yeah. That's what Joseph is gonna be here for. He'll do that stuff.
so,
Who would you like to vote for?
again, I'll say why. Yeah.
Arthur, okay.
Voting as a block is not uncommon within the MUDs. And I have an opinion that the current board has not done a good job. I've said that before, and I think we need change. And I would like us to vote as a block. So Susanna, you have any?
I'm fine voting as a block this time.
Okay, so let's call a vote. All those in favor of voting as a block, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So majority has it. Okay, now next I'm going to call for, I guess, nominations on how to cast that vote. And
Well, we know that one person wants Arthur. And that's okay. Good guy.
yeah, I like Arthur as a person. I really do. He's a nice guy. I just want to change.
You have any preference, Jack?
If you look at page 27 in your packet.
Yeah.
You can see all the names.
I see all of you.
So Susanna, would you like to nominate someone?
I would like to hear why everybody else thinks.
Okay, okay.
Last time I voted for Bruce Reiser, and I'm gonna do it again.
And I support Bruce Reiser.
And we have another one for Arthur. So how would you like?
Well, I supported Bruce Reiser last time and
I
I'd
knew
like to
that.
continue.
Okay, so are we finished discussion? All those in favor of Bruce Reiser, say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Fine. Okay, then we'll cast all of our votes for Bruce Reiser. I do that right? It's rough enough, okay. Okay, let's, we'll fill that after meeting out. Okay, so I guess the 13 and 14 SRA is kind of light today. Are we gonna table those for next month?
I've got a question. Do you have any comments? I'll be happy to convey them.
Question for you. If you turn to page 41, okay, and also put your finger in page 52.
Okay.
So you'll have a good quick reference. During periods of higher rainfall, could we adjust the mix to reduce the amount of groundwater we use in an effort to protect our aquifers?
No.
Then that's the answer, that answered that. You need to look at page 52 at all. Okay, I now
I
understand
understand
that.
that one.
I just wanted to make sure it was clear in my mind.
Summer, winter. That's what you need to hit.
Okay.
Summer, winter.
Fine,
That's the triggers.
okay.
Okay, any more questions that we want to give Eric?
Yeah, actually, there are more questions and it's not appropriate to bring them up here, but one of the things in previous meetings that I have been rather vehement about is the utilization of excess funds. This year, we were told we're getting back the full amount of excess funds. I have a problem with the budget process where excess funds are created. I've already verbalized that, but if you take a look at pages 47, 49, that's it, those two, you'll see in page 47, the center one, AC waterline condition-based assessment, that's been funded by excess funds. I also thought, as I went back to the previous budget process, which would be for the 2025 and 2024 fiscal years, I thought we had money set aside for AC water condition-based assessment. So why are we using
No, we did not.
excess funds?
No,
We didn't.
No, the board approved the excess to do the new study.
Okay,
That's what that is.
okay. Now,
That was from last year's excess.
right, that's from last year, right? Yeah, because I took a look at 24 and 25, two budgets. So let me ask the question backwards. We have a budget of 1.6 million, a contract of 1.4 million, of which almost 500,000 has been utilized or invoiced at this point. If there's any money left over from that study, what happens to that? Should it not be returned to the MUDs?
I don't think there's any money left over the study because they've asked for additional funding.
I would not. The
Yeah,
trustee.
they another 200K. And so they're, you know, what's listed in the sheet is
Looking at that, okay.
But I think the answer would be is that if there's excess.
tax funds. It flows back anywhere. It flows
Then it
back.
would go into the account, it would stay in the accounts that would be contemplated with the process that we just went through with the refund.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
that takes care of my question.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move with to Fred's favorite agenda item. And that's number 15.
15,
Authorize the preparation of district policy for reservation of water and wastewater SFDU capacity, including reservation fee for the same. So this is what we discussed at the closed meeting. I gave an example out to everybody. Brian has that, and Brian made some very, you know, what I consider a very good improvement. And I liked it. And I think we just need a draft from the legal.
Yes, and again, this motion is just to formally authorize as an agenda item. Let's prepare that. Brian expects to have it for you in April.
okay.
So all those in favor of authorizing,
Well, we
Brian,
need to act on that.
what's that?
Yes,
We
yeah.
need to
we have
act.
a formal motion.
Officially, formal motion.
Okay, shouldn't it say receive and act?
No, you're not adopting it. It's to authorize just the preparation of, you'll formally adopt it or not.
All right, I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor of authorizing the preparation of the document, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, on that. Okay, now we have the attorney's report.
Only one thing to add, if any of you are interested in bills making their way through the legislature this cycle. Brian gave a report at the most recent trustees meeting on a number of bills lists. So if any of you are interested, that's a good resource to watch. And if you have any questions, once you watch that, please feel free to let us know and we can try to get them in for you. Again, early stages though.
Yeah.
Bigger subjects have changed.
A lot of interesting bills have been filed that affect us, you know, in small ways. So watch the tape.
Some in big ways.
Yeah, some in big ways, but some in small. Okay, a general manager's report.
All right. General manager report is on page 62. You will find a pretty significant change. Hopefully you enjoy it. We didn't completely revamp the report. It got bigger, but I felt like we were not fully conveying all the various things that we do for you. And so we have really revamped the overall general manager's report. So happy to take any questions on that. And then also, since it is a new format and a lot more information than normal, certainly if you have any suggestions on, you know, refining it, we're happy to hear that.
So, on 62,
Okay.
you have, I noticed that physical therapy on Ashland Way, physical therapy. And my
Yeah.
wife, I just dropped her off to get the same thing. So what is your definition of physical therapy?
Name of the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you describe those three events a little bit, real briefly?
Yeah, so everything in the box is triggered by us receiving a set of drawings to review on your behalf. So that's really all it is. It could be a new development, it could be a redevelopment, anything that comes in, because we hadn't really conveyed all of the reviews that we do all the time. So that's all that is. So we may not know all the details yet as we're going through reviews, but we're just kind of pulling those off of what comes in.
So is there any, like in 10 words, tell us a little more about Ashland Way, the fire station?
It's a physical therapist office, fire station number 5. And I mean, it's what
Oh,
it
so
says.
it's actually a physical therapist office.
Yeah.
Oh,
These are developments.
oh, developments. I understand.
These are
Oh,
developments.
developments. Okay. These are people who are,
These are people that have submitted drawings to do a new or redevelopment of developing in the Woodlands.
Fire Station 5, is that the one near Ashland Way? And that's going to be torn down, or is that
No, it's gonna be used as storage.
storage? Okay.
Warehouse.
Okay. And we're having a new church built?
Yeah, it's been under construction for a while.
Oh, it has.
How long?
Months.
Where's it at?
Are you gonna go to the grand opening?
I haven't been invited. I don't know the address.
Okay.
I've been by it. I don't.
In Sterling Bridge, or Alden Bridge, or
I am looking to add addresses to this.
Okay, that's we can wait.
Directors next month to help facilitate the discussions.
Good idea.
And these are,
Okay.
yeah, so, but we will get that added to help with that discussion.
Okay. Anything you want to add to the trustee meeting?
Well, I just had a few more things on the general
Okay,
management
okay.
report, outside of what you read. New format there. As you'll see, we have continued the building improvements. You see the TVs. There's one on the outside for people outside. We get overloaded, we can broadcast it out for them to see as well. We're about to build a customer education interface in the lobby where they can actually come in and see what a real meter looks like and what a clean out looks like and what different pipes that we use and things like that. So help educate the public on what to look for when they're dealing with their own. GRP update, there's a update in your trustee meeting packet. And so I presented the trustees as I committed to do. And then the review of that is in your trustee summary. Long story short, James Korn was voted as the chair of the committee. I was voted as the vice chair of the committee. There was a long discussion on the aquifer and Lone Star stance on the aquifer. And then I requested an agenda item on the next morning meeting for committee members to come to the meeting prepared to talk about their goals and objectives as they represent different organizations. So you can read the whole summary there in your packet. Did want to update that the community work group next meeting is April 2nd. And we'll be talking about some of the ongoing renewal projects that are currently under construction or under review. I did want to let you know that I was in the state capitol on Monday to testify on a House Bill 1335 in opposition to which it's calling for Class B utilities, which are water and sewer type utilities, not Class A is power, telecommunications, gas, things like that. That it would require Class B utilities to join the statewide 811 utility locate system, which sounds good on paper, but it's got a lot of downhill ramifications to water districts that needed to hear the issues. So we'll see.
Sponsor that.
Representative Gertie's out of the Giddings area, I believe. So more to come on that one. We'll see where that goes. It was the testimony was in the committee. The all months meetings have been identified April 1st, May 8th, and June 10th. And so we will be sending a formal invite or reminder for that. So the location will be across the street at the community center, and each of those meetings is scheduled to start at 5:30 each of those evenings. So I believe the first,
Which meetings?
the all months meetings,
That's what I wanted. Yeah, what dates again?
April 1, May 8, June 10.
Okay.
And then we have continued to also continue to run the ditches to identify condition of the ditch, piping, etc. We are going to start looking at doing some improvements, especially on the immediate issues with some K-bends and things like that across the woodland. So we're going to be identifying the most critical parts of that, looking at that against the budget for each mud, and we'll come back to you and show you where we're heading with that. We're about 50% done with assessment of all the 1,000 acres of ditches. So we're still grinding. And with that, I'll kick it to John for the communication.
Oh, before you leave that, what is this war?
Oh, I handed that out. Ed's not here, but they reorganized.
I'm sorry?
They reorganized their management team, the FCRA. So that's the new org chart. And what I do is next time Ed comes, you should ask him.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Page 73 for your communications report. So we've shifted focus into water quality now. It's the second quarter of our strategic plan. We were telling our story the last 3 months, so you'll see a lot more about water quality in the next 3 months. Your annual reports went out with the last water bill. We're still sending those out in a couple more ways, and I want to wait till all that really lands. And then next month, I'll bring forward some metrics on how much reach we got with that and how much engagement. So I'll bring some stats to you next meeting. We had a few nice pieces out there. You can see those reflected in the next couple pages, 74 and 75. Some QRs there for you if you missed those pieces. Check those out. And then we printed a piece for you that was in Woodlands Community Magazine on residential water consumption last year. Just noting how we really compared to previous years. And then lastly, on 76, you have our latest outreach calendar. So we've got a number of events coming up. As a reminder, we always love having you out there. If you want to stop by for a few minutes or a couple hours, you're always welcome. It's a great opportunity to meet with folks and learn what the questions and concerns are out there. So, with that, any questions?
Yeah, John, would it be helpful, do you think, for us to have a section on Water Smart and what the percentage by mud of participation is included in this report?
Absolutely. In fact, Maureen and I had been talking about that, and some other MUDs have asked for something similar. So starting next month, we're gonna have information for you to bring some insights into how we're doing on water side. We can break that down by MUD.
Yeah, because I guess good news, bad news. Success breeds apathy, right? So when I took a look at the overview, there's like 70% participation, Woodlands wide on Water Smart. But MUD 46 has in the low to mid 80s, correct?
I'd have to go back and look at it, but it does vary by MUD.
Yeah, I know that,
Some
yeah.
are higher than others.
Yeah, and I think that we're right up there, and I think it would be useful from a peer pressure perspective to let the other MUDs see what we've done, or whoever else has done a good job. And the only other recommendation that I have is that, and apparently Eric's doing that, putting an education center in a lobby, start having elementary school tours through here and give them literature to take to their parents, because parents will read stuff coming home from school. Always. Yeah, it could be helpful, at least for us to break that 90% number. I'd sure like that here.
There are future customers, and they're incredible ambassadors for our
Absolutely.
our parents. I agree completely.
Great. Good job as always. Thank you.
Okay, let's see what we have left.
Pretty much gone through most of it.
Okay, so, anything for closed session? This is no. Discuss future agenda items? Any suggestions? No,
For the next meeting?
for the next meeting.
Okay. I had a review with Eric and Brian concerning the legal aspects of the SFDUE report that I wrote. And in some cases, I got very well educated. In other cases, it brought to light other inconsistencies. I would like to prepare a list of those open issues on the legal side and update my report. Clean up some of the mistakes that I made, some of the inconsistencies. But the headline is, and I mentioned this to Brian, one of the failings that I've seen with the legal overview is that we've got a number of documents, whether they are contracts, addenda, to those contracts or supplemental agreements, where we don't tie in all the operating aspects to those agreements to the term of the contract. And I have a problem with that. Example. If we,
But just agenda items. So what do you want to put in the agenda?
I'd like to put an agenda to review Director Letterman's legal assessment review with General Manager Peterson and our attorney, Brian Yates,
Okay, but do
at the
you,
next meeting.
you want to have, okay, discussion on what contract? Yes.
Legal issues is
Legal
it's
discussion,
more
legal-
than that.
okay.
There's the use of money, the reclamation of certain things.
And how many minutes do you want for that?
Legal concerns,
What?
legal
Yeah, legal
concerns.
concerns.
Good idea. Good word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would anticipate Brian is gonna need to chime in on whether or not it's an open or closed, if it's legal.
I would probably advocate close.
Yeah.
You know, take all of the,
Is this like a 10-minute thing?
Whether it's open or closed will depend on.
okay.
what it
Well,
is.
yeah, we'll be talking about specific contracts and dollars involved and things like that. I think it should be,
Either way, you need to have an item on it.
have the item on there. Someone will figure out if it's open or closed. Let Brian make that call. I don't care either way.
And this can be contained within this meeting?
I'll make a point of having it contained within this
Okay.
meeting.
Great.
So,
Issue of the encroachment. encumbrance.
What's that?
Issue of the encroachment /
Yeah,
encumbrance.
yes.
and by the way, after I have the email that I'll send to Shelley for distribution on legal concerns, if it looks like it'll go more than the 10 minutes, then even having it on the agenda, we could say at the next workshop meeting that we'll have it discussed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay.
So you can push it to a workshop.
Yeah. if need be.
Okay, then the second agenda item is the fence encroachment
Yep.
issue. Well, I guess get something from Brian on that, about a policy between Brian and Eric, yeah. Anything else? Okay, I have a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.